It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the Tool Shed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Tool Shed podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to Liam Cook about management software for builders. It's called Jack. We can make lots of jokes about that. We'll see how we go through the podcast. But the website is jackapp.io. We'll be putting all of the links in the description for you to check it out. But if this is your first podcast or the first time you've listened to the Tool Shed, you will find that we're always looking for ways to make a builder's life easier, help them build a better business, get rid of the pain points and the frustration that's quite common through many building businesses. So that's the reason that we're talking to Liam today, because they've got a software platform that can help builders with all of those things. Welcome to the podcast, Liam. I nearly called you Jack because it's written on your shirt. But first question is, I just love to get the backstory of these things, how you got involved with it and how it ended up being called Jack. What's the meaning behind it all?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Mick. Very happy to be here chatting to you about how we can help builders save time and money. So Jack, I guess, Jack of all trades, Jack for all builders. That's a bit of a marketing company's idea, but I fell in love with the name and we went with that. What Jack does, it's effectively an all-in-one software for residential builders in Australia and New Zealand. The unique selling feature is the cash flow forecasting. So what it does is takes the estimated figures from your quotes, and then it takes the project timeline with your Gantt chart, and it spits out an automatically updated cash flow forecast, which will show you a graph of how much money will be in your bank in 18 months' time.
So how did this all come about? What's your connection to the building industry? Generally, we find that there's some sort of problem or frustration that was either experienced or noticed that caused you to explore this. So how did that all happen?
Yeah, we have to go a fair way back. So I'm not a builder myself. I'm an accountant by trade, but the software has been developed in really close consultation with builders and really successful people in the construction industry. So if we go way back, I'm a chartered accountant. While I was studying in uni, I worked doing solar panel installation. I was a trade assistant for an electrician. And I was always sort of a bit more interested in how much profit margin is the boss making on this job and how do they schedule their jobs and that sort of thing than the actual hands-on labour. So once I finished university, I worked for 6 years providing advice to small businesses. I then moved to Canada for 2 years, and you could say that's where one of the first light bulb moments happened. I was working for a software startup, and I sort of had this light bulb moment where I just love the idea of building one product that you can sell to many people to help them improve their business.
Yeah, cool. So
from there, I can keep elaborating on that.
We'll come back to it. But what I'm curious about is, I'm looking at all of the things that it does, and it looks like to me it has a lot of moving parts, and I guess this might have been what you're getting to, but there is always some sort of frustration or some sort of cause that gets people to go, I think we need to fix this because there are too many people seeing or experiencing this problem, and the question that always goes around in my mind, because this isn't the first conversation we've had about software for builders. There's heaps of them around, and I'm really curious to understand the mindset and the specificity that you were focusing on around a problem that you believe this software will fix, because there's a ton of them around. What's different about this one, and which is the specific problem it's focused in on?
Yeah, so I guess when I moved back to Adelaide from Canada, I remember sitting at the pub with a couple of my mates who were in the construction industry. One was a builder, and it was around the time of COVID. And I was asking him how he's going and how his business was going, and he was sort of telling me that he was really stressed. He had all these fixed price contracts that had happened during COVID, and then his supply costs had almost doubled, and he knew that he was locked into these jobs where he's going to be losing money or breaking even, probably losing money. So that's where I sort of, another light bulb moment, realised that there's probably this gap in the software space for builders where we need to give them the ability to fully understand the financial health of their business. So with the estimating side of things, the budget gets locked in, and then you track your forecast profit from when you budgeted the job. You track all your client variations against the job, and then you track all your gain. We call them builder gains or losses. So if your timber prices are $10,000 over what you originally budgeted, you log that gain, that loss, and then you can see how the job actually ended up in terms of your markup.
Yeah. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're always trying to bring you information that's going to make your life as a builder much easier. So give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode. Yeah, it's a real challenge and a slippery slope. And I remember a very impactful social post. It was like on Facebook or something, and it just had two photos, and it had a photo of a pallet of building materials that you could buy for, let's say, $2,000. I can't remember the exact figures they used in 2019, and then 2020 or 2021, it had a pallet that just had a couple of sticks of timber on it. There was hardly anything there, and it's just such a challenge. And I find that many builders, operate on a hope strategy as far as their profit is concerned. Like they figure out what their profit is at the start, but throughout the job, they kind of lose the plot. And the next time that they identify whether they made any profit or not is after the job is finished, which is way too late. So what's the process with Jack to be able to identify the particularly the net profit that you're should be taking out of each progress payment, to make sure you put it in a box under your bed and guard it with dogs and guns and stuff? How do you do it?
Yeah, so when you create a job, you'll actually be able to see a job-specific cash flow. You'll be able to see a bar chart that shows green is the money coming in and red is the money going out. And you can actually see that over the next 6 months, what the net cash flow position is going to be on that job. And then the other thing is, on the job budget, because you're tracking your actual costs against your estimated costs at a cost category and a cost item level, you can start to see, so your starting forecast profit is locked in, and then as you maybe make more profit, hopefully, you'll see the number go green and it'll increase. Whereas if you're losing money on a job, it'll go red and it'll show that your margin has been reduced.
Yeah. Is it taking into account the team efficiency, for instance? Because it's all well and good to say it's going to take X amount of hours to do this particular part of the project. But is there a way to be able, I'm just looking there that there's timesheets involved. Is there a way to be able to track that, let's say, you're hanging all of the doors or putting the roof frames on or whatever it might be, that particular part of the project, day by day, can you measure as to whether you're behind, on track or in front in that space?
Yeah, so the job budget, you mentioned the timesheets. So timesheets, if you had, say you employed a carpenter yourself, what you would do is have them enter their timesheets into Jack, then they get approved and they get allocated to a specific job and a specific job a cost category. And then inside the budget, you will see the balance of estimated cost remaining. So you're tracking your labour in real time, and you can then go back and report after the end of the job and see, has labour been constantly going over on this specific cost category.
Yeah, cool. That's fantastic. At the start, you mentioned that you're not a builder, but you're working in cahoots with experienced and successful builders to be able to put this together. from the perspective of the user, because I know that, hanging around with so many builders that there's a number of them that jump on various software platforms, like it in the beginning, but their customer support sucks, so they end up drifting away, and others jump on a software and love the customer support and get lots of interaction. What's your philosophy, and what's that look like for Jack?
We are all about customer support. That is other than getting people on and getting the word out about this product, customer support is the most important thing in the business. So we have we provide live support over the phone during Australian business hours. At the moment, if you ring the phone number, you'll get me on the other end of the line to help you out with the product, and we're building that customer support team now. In our mission statement, the first line is, we love builders and tradies. Without them, we wouldn't have a business. And then the second line of the mission statement is that the customer comes first in every decision we make about changing the software.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's talk about someone goes, hey, I wouldn't mind taking a look at this. What's the process to be able to do that? What can the potential user expect to experience once they reach out?
Yeah, so the best thing to do would be to sign up for a demo, so we can jump on there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes if you've got time. We'll ask you questions about your business specifically, and we'll tailor that demo to your business. We'll show you the features that can solve some of your pain points. We'll ask about your pain points. From there, if you want to go ahead, we can get you signed up for a free 14-day trial. You don't need to put a credit card in. You get access to all the features. So there are different tiers of feature sets that we offer, and that's to sort of suit the size of your business.
Yeah.
If you go ahead after the free trial, you're happy with the product, you love it, we will then book in. What we've typically been doing is booking in one-on-one onboarding sessions. We'll book 4 over a month. There'll be an hour or 2 hours, depending on how much time you want and how intensive you want that onboarding to be. And we will walk you through step by step how to implement the Jack app system into your business.
That's cool. What sort of integrations has it got as well? Like, some of them don't integrate too well with accounting software and what have you. What integrations does Jack have?
So Jack only integrates with Xero.
Yeah.
That we're finding, just looking at the market and looking at builders and tradies, around 80 to 90% of them are using Xero anyway. No integration with MyOb or QuickBooks at this time.
Yep. Something that fascinates me, some people think they panic when they hear the 2 letters put together, A and I. But I noticed that in your finance side of the package, you talk about AI-powered billing process. What's the AI component? How does it work in with the billing process? What's the value there?
Yeah, so it's got the ability to drag and drop your PDF bills into the system, and then the Jack app system reads that bill. So it's OCR scanning, reads the bill, and it will automatically pull out the supplier name, the due date, the invoice number, and the amount of the bill, and it will sort of reduce the amount of data entry that's required for your bookkeeper or the owner of the business, whoever's entering those bills. So just on that, all the bill management is done through Jack, and then it pushes over to Xero, and then we have a two-way sync where once you make your batch payment out of Xero, Xero talks back to Jack and puts that bill into the paid bucket so that you don't double up and pay the same invoice twice. Yeah,
eliminates a whole bunch of double handling as well. It seems to me, and I'm not a builder and I don't use builder software, so I just have a very sort of overview approach to looking at the software. I like to know about the customer focus and where that sits as a priority. But just looking at this one, it tends to have a lot of different bases covered. For instance, there's a part there for safety even. So I know that there's different platforms out there that builders use just for safety and their swims and all of that sort of thing. What does the safety component cover in Jack?
Yeah, so we have incident reporting. on a job level, and then you can report on that. We also have, right now we have JSAs, but we've quickly got some feedback from our customers that they need the SWMS, the Safe Work Method Statements. So
Yep.
we're actually adding that feature in a few months' time. That'll be rolled out.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that, we've had builders who have gone from paying for 4 subscriptions, one for estimating, one for project management, one for safety, and one for timesheets. And they have managed to just use Jack App to run their entire business. They're saving around $30,000 a year,
Wow.
which is a great outcome for that business.
I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. There's one roadblock in your business that, when identified and fixed, a whole bunch of other frustrating problems will disappear at the same time. So much time, effort, and money is thrown at problems in an attempt to fix them that often doesn't fix the problem and just leads to more frustration. And if this cycle continues, it increases stress and just makes running your own business an unenjoyable pain in the ass. And it doesn't have to be that way. Being a business owner can give you more time and financial freedom, and it can be super rewarding if you do it right. The key is to find your unique roadblock, which you're often too close to the action to see yourself. How do I know this? I've been working in peak performance and business coaching for over 3 decades, and with builders specifically for over 10 years, and I see it every day. So I encourage you to take the Builder's Success Scorecard right now. The link to take the scorecard is in the description. It's free. It'll take you about 90 seconds, and you'll have some quality feedback in your inbox before you know it. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that when you start to talk about savings and in that space, it's like that's really powerful from the perspective if you're saving, let's say $30,000, you've got to ask yourself, how much additional work do I need to do to produce a chunk of change equal to $30,000? So, that to produce that amount of additional revenue, to have 30 grand left over after you've produced that work and managed the people and done the work and stayed up at night and worried and stressed about it, savings like that are really, really powerful. So I love to hear about that. One of the biggest challenges that we talk about a lot, and it's a real bugbear for both the builder and the clients, is variations. And I just want you to run me through the variation process, because it's one thing to have the digital process for variations, but it's something that I think that most builders need to approach differently from the perspective of communication about variations, having the client understand that what difference this variation is going to make to the total cost of the project, because they can do one variation and it's just an extra 10.
Yep.
And then they do another variation and it's just an extra 7. And then, 5 or 6 variations later, they're up to an additional $100,000 and they get the bill for it and they freak out. So there's an approach to it, but what's the I suppose the technical approach that you take in Jack to variations?
Yeah, so Jack App has a client portal where you can customize how much or how little information you share with the client. Obviously, at the moment, transparency is a really sought after thing when customers are looking to engage a builder. So with variations, they're created in the Jack platform, and they are you enter the amount and you can write details of what it relates to, and then it'll get sent. You save and approve, save and release, and it will release it over to the customer. They log into their client portal and they can check out all the details and then approve it within the application, and then it will come back to the builder saying that it's been approved. And that gets automatically updated in the job budget.
Yep.
In terms of the customer seeing the overall impact of all the variations, they can see that in the client portal. They can see the original contract signed owner price, and then the variations and the updated contract price.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to have some sort of visual graphic for that as well, so it's kind of green and then it turns orange and then it gets red, like the big thermometer, because it is just the bane of so many builders' existences that, the customer wants this, wants that, the other, and then freaks out about it when it comes time to pay. So having a process that really keeps it under control and manages expectations along the way is pretty important. With the takeoffs, I wanted to ask a question because you mentioned it was the client portal, because I think that's super important in a software platform is for the client to have access to what's going on. Obviously, the builder needs to maintain high levels of quality communication, but it's great for the client to be able to access certain things as well. So what does the client see from their side logging into their part of the platform?
Yeah, so when you add a new lead, so it has a CRM, so it is genuinely end to end. It goes from the first meeting that you have or the first phone call from a client
Yeah.
all the way through to the final invoice. So when you create a lead, you enter their email address and then you tick enable portal access. The client will get an email. They'll set up their client portal. In the meantime, you've customized what you want them to be able to see. So they can see all their invoices that you have issued to them. They can see when they're due, if they're overdue. They can see the schedule, and you can break it down to show them only the phases of the schedule. So maybe you could have pre-construction, construction, and then handover. That could be the phases, or you could break it down into more like framing, roofing, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then they can see all the allowances and the variations if you toggle those on so that they can see it.
Yeah, so it's quite comprehensive, and you can make it as sophisticated or as simple as, I guess, your target market requires, which is a really cool thing. Just also with suppliers and the takeoffs and all of that sort of stuff, how does that work from a being able to access current pricing when you're doing your quotes and that sort of stuff through the platform? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have cost catalogs that you can upload with a CSV import, so you don't need to do all that data entry. We can actually help you out with that if you can get your cost catalogs to us in a format where we can upload it for you.
Yeah.
And then we have the ability, so right now we don't have any APIs with any suppliers like Bunnings or any of those, but we're working on potentially adding those in the short term. What we do have is the ability, say your supplier comes back to you and says, I'm really sorry, I've got to put my prices up by 5% across the board. You don't have to manually go in and change all those prices. You can do a bulk edit of an entire catalog, hit a button, and it will increase it by a percentage amount.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably a reality. It's be better if it didn't happen so regularly, but it's just what happens. So best place to start. Someone listening to this says, "Yeah, I want to take a look at it." What are the steps? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, book a demo. You can go onto our website www.jackapp.io, and there's a big button right at the top. Book a demo. We will, and then that goes straight into our calendar, and we'll reach out to a time that's convenient for you, and we'll just show you through on screen how the product can help you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Seems simple and straightforward. So it seems to me that it's got a lot of really cool things in it. You've thought of everything, and it seems to tick all the boxes from everything that I can see. So it's great to discover. And I say that you've probably very well known. It's just that we didn't know, and now we do know that you exist, and spreading the word, because I just think it's wonderful for builders to have lots of options and try and find the option that suits them the best. So really would like to thank you for putting the time aside to share with us, Jack, and all of its features and how it works and the benefits that builders would get from it. So it's been an absolute pleasure having a chat with you on the podcast.
No worries. Thanks, Mick. It's awesome.
Okay, folks. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I think it's one of those situations where you need to jump in and have a conversation, and this may well be the right fit for you. As we talked in the podcast, there are a number of different software platforms. Builders are always asking which is the best, and it's really difficult to identify which is the best, because every different builder has different requirements, different priorities, and it's a matter of just jumping in, taking that trial. In this case, you can have a free trial. The support sounds like it's really fantastic. So jump in, have the conversation. You'll probably end up speaking to Liam, as Liam said. And if you do, let us know what you thought. Jump into the comment section wherever you're listening to this podcast and tell us how you went. What were your impressions and what were your thoughts when you reached out and had a look at the Jack app? So that's it for this episode. I hope it got you thinking. I hope you'll take action. We'll be back with another episode of the The Builders Business Success Podcast is another podcast that I haven't done for 100 years. We've done over 109, 10 episodes of this, and I'm still calling it the wrong thing. This one is actually called The Tool Shed, and we'll be back with another episode of the Tool Shed podcast before you know it. I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. I'm out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Tool Shed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.